Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to be here with you guys to talk about the new moon. I know I'm a day late with this one, but I think we should still talk about it as a collective. Last night I did film, or yesterday rather, I filmed a collective tarot reading for everyone on the new moon, and then I went to do the astrology, but it got really hot here and there's another huge massive heat wave where I live, and so it's the 5th one this year, so it got really hot and I got slow. Plus the astrology of this new moon is very impressive. There's a lot going on right now and I'm still making all the connections in order to share with you how it fits into the context of what's going on. So today we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to give you guys a high-level explanation and summary of the entire energy around the new moon, and then we will post the more detailed specific dates and stuff later once I fully am able to look at everything. It's very nuanced, everything that's going on, so I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited to tell you about this. So what I do in situations when I already filmed something and I can't really finish it or put it out in the way I intended, it's still good content. So I did film a podcast style astrological explanation that I don't want to post for everyone to watch as well. So what I'm going to do is, after we're done filming here, I'm going to, I'm going to put that all together and give it to the members. And so when that's ready later today, it will be in the description for your review. So if you want more details, if you want to see me read this spread, then it will be one of your offerings for members, because you guys have been waiting for a couple weeks for your video now. So I'm still on time, but anyway, it's time to give you guys something anyway. So you'll get to watch this. And then today we're going to talk about the astrology, and hopefully I can tell you guys about it fast enough that we can get to an all sign. So we will see how long it takes. The podcast last night took me half an hour, so I'm hopeful that it's not going to be that long. And so if I make it in time, then we can do an all sign. If you're watching this saved video, then you'll already know if it's an all sign or not. But right now we'll just figure it out. And also if if it takes a little bit longer than half an hour, then maybe we can just do a fast all sign talking about the astrology and looking at what happens for every single sign. But if you're missing an all sign and you're not a member, then maybe you can go check out the Venus retrograde video I just filmed, which is really long. It was 3 hours long. So there's lots of details in there for all of you. So I'm excited to tell you guys about this new moon. It's not an easy new moon in the sense that, new beginnings, tra-la-la, let's get manifesting. So this new moon is completely different, and it's in the context of a lot of astrological events. So I think it's important to understand everything that's going on in order to kind of understand what's happening. So there are basically 3 phases in August this year. And I've been telling you that August astrology was going to be super intense, probably the most intense month of the year. And in different ways, there's different intensities, but August is an intense month, and we've already seen it happening. So there's the Lilith Leo season phase, and I'll talk about all of these in just a minute. There's 3 major lunations in August, and even though I don't subscribe to like blue moon calendrical explanations, which means some people say, ooh, August has 2 full moons, so it's really intense. Well, that's just because the calendar. So, it's a little bit of it's like a Lionsgate kind of justification. Doesn't make super a lot of sense astrologically. But this year, these 2 full moons are connected. So they happen to be in August, but they are very deeply connected. And I'll explain that to you guys in a minute, how this new moon that we just had is connected to the full moons and what to expect and how to deal with all of it. And then at the end of August, which I think will be potentially a huge world event, or maybe in your life, huge events will happen as well. It is this kite that's forming, and I've already talked about it a little bit. We'll talk about it some more. And then, of course, the retrograde season is starting, and then we get the second full moon. But it's more about the retrogrades and definitely more about this kite. And I'll kind of explain to you guys why it's such a big deal. So before we get into it, I really want to give a public service announcement. I've already posted something about this on TikTok, but I think it's a good time to acknowledge this. Basically, when you use astrology and you have trauma or you have lost someone or you're grieving, it's prime territory for hurting yourself mentally and emotionally. Because when we experience loss or trauma, when we're feeling bad, humans have a predisposition to project those feelings that are still with us onto new situations, and we can feel haunted by them, like they're going to happen again, like something bad will happen to you a second time. So it's important to take astrology with a grain of salt. You guys know I believe in astrology wholeheartedly, but I do think that when you are particularly upset or when you're particularly sad, our human psychology creates an environment where we can attribute to astrological events that are happening certain meanings that may not be there. So it's a weird combination of human psychology and astrology. I do think that astrology is a wonderful tool for analyzing your life and drawing patterns and meaning, but there's a distinction from the healthful way of doing that and feeling as though something terrible will happen to you because it's Venus retrograde, and last Venus retrograde in Leo in 2015, something bad happened. So because it's Venus retrograde and that has a lot to do with relationships, a lot of people are feeling very vulnerable. On top of that, we have Lilith, and we'll talk about that today. But I just want to give you guys a friendly reminder that if you're feeling particularly sad, stressed, depressed, traumatized, whatever, know that when you're using astrology, you have a high chance of drawing negative conclusions, scaring yourself, and just messing with your own head, gaslighting yourself with it. So make sure that you're doing it in a healthful way. Okay, so hold on, I don't understand. Okay, so let's talk about the themes to do with the new moon. We have a couple. I don't understand. Somebody's vacuuming outside. They were vacuuming yesterday, so I don't understand what that's about, but sorry about that. So anyway, so if you want to think about this August and September energy, it's twofold. There is, August says some things to us very loudly, and then in September, once those retrogrades get started, we are going to begin to unpack that energy and deal with it. Speaking of Venus retrograde and petty behavior, look at what's happening. Somebody was vacuuming outside my door last night, so it's kind of creepy. But anyway, so I don't feel creeped out where I live or anything, but this is weird because they were literally doing the same thing last night. But anyway, so that's why I keep a low profile. Now you guys understand why I keep things private, because people are weird and people are prone to overstep each other's boundaries, which is another theme of August, but we'll get to that. Anyway, so August says some things very loudly, and we've already seen these things happen throughout the world and in our own lives. We've seen a lot of changes for people and in their circumstances. Then in September, what's going to happen is these retrogrades begin to kick in, and we will begin to unpack what happened. So, for example, a lot's happened in Hawaii, and I want to send my love and prayers to people experiencing that. And there's a lot of questions around those events that I don't want to speak to because they have a lot to do with, Indigenous rights. And I believe in allowing, or not allowing, but just lifting up voices of the people who are affected rather than summarizing what they are saying through my perspectives. So we need to hear what they have to say and how they're going to respond to how that tragedy has been managed. But there's serious questions of appropriate behavior that have come into question. So right now, a lot's happened in Maui. There's a lot of tragedy there. And there's a lot of people pushing back and saying, hey, don't treat us this way. And it's actually opened up a really big wound of colonialism. And into September, I think we're going to see things move into motion to support those communities in a way that maybe they have not been supported up until this point. So maybe in September, those communities will have an opportunity to sort of speak up for themselves or to gain their power back. Okay, so major themes of the new moon. And so I want to go over the major themes of the new moon, and then we'll get into the particulars. So there are issues of major post-colonialism and emancipation. Now, this is mundane astrology, right? But it can also affect us on a personal level. So like we saw in August 1st during the first full moon, we had the events in West Africa alongside the full moon. And so we had a big pushback against colonial French rule in West Africa that sparked up alongside that full moon. That was a huge event of freedom for people. This emancipation can also happen in your life when suddenly systems of oppression are not able to affect or assert control over you, your partner, your boss, whoever, are not able to assert manipulative control over your life. And so you're pushing back on these systems as well. And then now, as I've mentioned, we have Maui that happened on 8/8, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is all connected also to Pluto squaring the nodes, right? And so Pluto squaring the nodes, that happened at the beginning of the month, which was exact, but will affect us for the rest of the month as well. Okay, so the other theme that we have emerging at this time is confronting hypocrisies in your life. And so when the people in Maui are saying, hey, governor, why are you allotting our land? Why are these companies not paying out insurance claims? They're getting that extra power to speak up and voice their concern. And I had something to say about that. So the ignorant don't know that they are ignorant. So when you are dealing with an ignorant person who's being ignorant towards you, they think that they're entitled to their ignorance. That's the sign of privilege. And so their privilege causes them to be more violent when there's a conflict of interest with you about something. And violence can represent a lot of different things, gaslighting, all sorts of behaviors that are toxic and underhanded. And so when they are confronted on that fact, just by simple interaction or conflict of interest over territory, like in Maui, but this is also happening in your own life, when there's a conflict of interest, that person who is ignorant, who's in the privileged position, often reverts to ignorant behaviors that support their privilege. They weaponize their privilege in order to assert control. And so they may be neutral, but when you're in conflict with them, they will try to subjugate you into their world order and try to push you into the status quo that suits them best. And that's the act of violence. And so through this time, what I've really noticed is that system of violence really breaking down, whether it's in West Africa, Maui, or in many different places right now in August. And I think that the issue is those people don't think they're doing something wrong. They're entitled. So this confronting hypocrisy kind of idea is coming up a lot now because for some reason, these astrological alignments, those systems of ignorance are really breaking down. They're not working the same way before. So that's a good thing. The other thing is this kind of pushback, saying no to the man. There's a lot of voices saying, screw this is no good. What are all these people deciding? Where did all these Nepo babies and power come from? And so there's a lot of people who are stepping into their entitlement, and there's a lot of people who are stepping in to confront all these people, and they're trying to undermine what they have going on. And so the other element that's coming up that's less political or maybe less intense is we've seen a string of breakups. And so last night, I think it was confirmed that Britney Spears is going to go into a divorce. And I think that there's a lot of allegations that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are going to have a divorce. There's been so many breakups as well. But of course, we know this is Venus retrograde. And so on top of this, because of Leo season, everybody is extra spicy right now. Everybody's in their element and feeling extra spice. And I think that it's good, but there's also the bad guys who are feeling extra spicy. So there's a lot more underhanded treatment of other people. There's more audacity in the world. But I've seen a lot of that fall flat, which is great. So the way it's playing out is that it's an ineffective and like a false front, which to me aligns with the archetype of Lilith, in that Lilith is all about showmanship, but there's not much behind it, especially in Leo. So it could seem as very intimidating, but if you push on it a little bit, it really falls apart. So you might be experiencing that energy as well. And so the other thing that I really wanted to highlight for you guys today is that this new moon, in my opinion, is not about manifestation, not only because of what's happening in the new moon, but the whole context of August around it. It's just not a favorable alignment of energies. So there are heavy aspects on Uranus in all three lunations, all three the two full moons and the new moon this month. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but what that's going to lead to is leading to unexpected events that happen fast and unexpectedly. So you'll see that transpire really fast. Then we have Sun with Lilith. And so that's happening today, and that's going to really clarify certain issues. So Sun conjunct Lilith is going to clarify issues and set things right. So today is a marker of good days. There's also Venus emerging as the morning star, and we'll talk about that all in a minute. But it's not doom and gloom, and I really want to underline my point here that it's actually the energy of the saving grace, which is some kind of intervention that's coming in and addressing all these dark issues and dynamics. And so situations in which you're having problems or situations that feel heavy are coming in with really constructive and productive energy to pull you out of unfortunate dynamics. So let's talk about the three phases of the August full moons or lunations. First, we have Leo season, which we've talked already about, but I want to say it here, and I'll say it quickly so that we have it all together as one. And so this Leo season has been particularly spicy. Meow, meow, Leos, and happy birthday. And this is because there has been a extra amount of conjunctions and events happening in Leo during when the sun is in Leo. So every single year, you guys probably saw my posts about this already. There are some events that happen in Leo annually. So in July, there's the conjunction of the sun and the star Sirius, which is not in Leo, but it is the pretext situation in that dynamic. So there's sun conjunct Sirius, and then on in late July until early August, or actually mid-August, we have Sirius rising. And I made a short form video about this. So if you're wondering where Sirius is rising in your chart, you can look to that video because it has all that information. And so I calculated it from astronomical data. So I produced it. So if it helps you know when Sirius is rising. By the way, if you live 50 degrees north, which is Canada, Vancouver, then Sirius has risen yesterday, thereabout. And if you live south of that, Sirius has already risen. So all of America except Alaska is in that boat. So Sirius has risen for the majority of the United States, but then there's still some places in Europe and North Canada in which Sirius has yet to rise. And so that's an auspicious holiday from ancient civilizations. And then there's this new age thing called Lionsgate that we've really tried to unpack this year. But people do celebrate it and give it attribution, so I put it on the list. But this year, what's special is that there's Venus retrograde in Leo, and this happens every single 8 years. So there's a 5-point star that Venus forms in these conjunctions with the sun while she's retrograde. And this year it's happening in Leo. And so to add to all the other events that are happening in early August, in Leo season, we have Venus retrograde in Leo. And like I already told you in a previous video, which you can find in the description or down below, Venus goes into the underworld and does a transformation into the morning star. And so there's cycles of death and rebirth, cycles of harvest, and cycles of humbling, being humbled through this energy. So it's a time to be very careful between the time when she goes into the underworld and when she emerges. And so Venus will emerge today or tomorrow for the majority of places. And then you guys will see her by the third week of August, about the 22nd of August to 25th or 26th of August. The other event that's happening during Leo season that's super intense right now is that Lilith is in Leo. And I think that this is probably the most conflictual side of what's happening now, that's bringing the most kind of harsh energy. So Lilith is in Leo, and as Venus is retrograde and all these planets are interacting together, and the moon and the sun, they're forming conjunctions with Lilith. And so we're getting really spiteful, harsh behavior. Okay. So that's Leo season. And so I just want to give a highlight to Maui a little bit, because on 8/8 we had the conjunction of Venus and Lilith, and in Leo, we had the conjunction of Venus and Lilith in Leo on August 8th, and this is when she went into the underworld. Now, again, there's been some people saying different dates for this, there's different astrological practices with counting when this emergence happens. And there's different schools and traditions that do that. And this is why I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders a bit at these different observances because they're not consistent between each other. So I used astronomy again in order to figure out exactly when Venus was going into the underworld, and it was on August 8th on Lionsgate. And so 8/8 turned out to be a very difficult time because that's when the fires broke out in Maui. And there's a lot of darkness attached to this through colonialism and human greed and imposition and things like this. If you see Lilith as a feminist figure, then it's okay for you to see her like that if you want to. I think it's incorrect, but if you do see it as a feminist figure, that's your decision. But I just want to give you guys some food for thought. So suppose, like, play the devil's advocate. Lilith is the dark feminine energy. And so imagine everybody being in their shadow side at the same time and all these transits happening together consecutively. How does that affect us as a collective when everybody's being a bit more bold, a bit more demanding, a little bit more self-directed? It becomes a bit of a similar situation to Mercury retrograde when everything's kind of chaotic and disordered because all of us are impacted by this transit. So I'm saying that even if Lilith was a good transit, which I don't think it is, it affects all of us to such an extent, even if it was that good interpretation, that collectively I think that what it would produce is a big freaking mess of narcissism. Just saying. So, food for thought. Before we move on to the second event that's happening in August that's really important to pay attention to understand this new moon, I want to acknowledge that fires not only happened in Maui, there was fires that broke out in Greece, in Italy. There was fires that broke out in the Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And so there's been a lot of very violent and very extensive fire damage around the world. Northwest Territories and the Yukon are the territories of northern Canada. They're very sparsely populated. Very few people live there. And it's very hard for them to get out of these communities. Some of these, the biggest community I think is 20,000 people, so they're very, very remote. And so these forest fires that are happening around them are incredibly dangerous because all those people are at risk because there is limited access to those territories anyway. It's all forests up there, and it's all just northern land. And so my prayers and thoughts go out to the people of northern Canada as well as all the people affected by forest fires and different fire events that are happening. I do want to say that since Venus is exiting the underworld right now, and since the sun has joined Lilith today, which I think is a reset, and I'll tell you guys about that in a minute, I do think things are improving. The second set of events in order to understand the new moon is the connection between the full moons and the new moons that are happening. So all three lunations, the lunar events, the two full moons and the new moon, involve Uranus in a big way. And this is the part where I'm still doing research on the extent of what's happening. So I'm just going to give you a top level explanation and then explain in detail later on. This is because it's still going to maintain the same energy. It's like a very deep rabbit hole that I'm in. So I'll tell you guys about it when I figure it out. But for the first full moon that happened in Aquarius at 9 degrees of Aquarius, over here somewhere, was a series of bedrock events in your life or in world events. So we had the events in West Africa emerge, in Niger specifically, and in your life possibly too, there was sudden change to the playing field, and whoever was being suppressed in those situations pushed back, and there was nothing that the suppressive energy was able to stop them with. There was much less force available to control the people that were oppressed. And so this has to do with that full moon, but remember that full moon had a lot to do with Pluto squaring the nodes, because Pluto squared the nodes exactly on August 3rd. And so this was the bedrock situation. The reason it's connected to Uranus is that decan in which this event happened was ruled by Uranus. So it was the first decan of Aquarius is ruled by Uranus in modern astrology. And so you'll see Uranus will pop up as significant for all these events, even though it's here in Taurus right now. Okay. Another thing I noticed with that full moon, the first one, that there was an ardent attack by supremacists, whatever the supremacist is, whoever's trying to hold power unfairly, over people that they wanted to oppress, but it was not working out. So I never say it's a good thing when conflict is starting, where people may get hurt or something bad of that nature will happen. But it's true to acknowledge that people may become emancipated from things that are hurting them, and something is changing for them right now. So, and even in your personal life, how I would interpret that if I were applying that to personal astrology is that you too are finding places of emancipation, of ability to move forward in certain directions at certain times. And then we have the new moon, which is the event right now. I think this is the catalyst event. This is kind of the pinnacle on the teeter-totter, the central point where everything is teetering on. And so a lot is changing right now. There's a shift right now that's happening. Venus has gone into the underworld, and on the 13th of August, just 4 days ago, she transformed into the morning star, and now she's going to emerge. And for some of us, Sirius is rising at the same time over the horizon. So we're seeing a lot of shift of energy happen with this new moon. But it's not a new moon for manifestation, because there's still a lot coming, and it's better to absorb and understand the environment that you're in and then respond and react. And so so this begins the second phase of August, which means that the first phase, that phase in which Venus was the evening star and went into the underworld, was the Leo season phase, let's just say, just roundabout. And then the second phase that's emerging now after this new moon is the second full moon retrograde season and this special kite formation I've been telling you guys about. So the second full moon is going to happen in Pisces, and it's going to happen conjunct Saturn. So what does Saturn represent? Saturn represents when we are contending with the world as it is presented to us, and we are organizing our world to fit our needs based on what has happened. So the second phase essentially is going to be from now until September 15th, when Mercury turns direct. And in this phase, there is going to be a lot of dealing with the circumstances that have happened. So if you're in that boat, that you're feeling traumatized by world events or your personal events in your personal life, I don't think that the month moving forward is necessarily going to be easier or easy. August is not an easy month this month. However, I do think that it's not those black swan events, the unexpected bushfire, the unexpected atrocities, they're really going to calm down now. And now what you're going to be seeing is people dealing with the situations that it brought up. Okay, so what is the kite that is happening? I really want to make sure everybody understands. And then we're already done. So how many minutes are we at? 34 minutes. Look at me go. See, I was super, even with the rude interruption, I was still on the ball with it. I was so excited to tell you guys about this too. It really threw me off. But anyway, so what is the kite energy? So basically, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus are the outermost planets in our solar system. And their alignments take a very long time to form. So whenever those planets are involved in an alignment, it's very, very rare that they form an alignment, especially alignments together. It's like, wow, this is really special. And they hold these alignments for a long time. For example, Pluto and Neptune have been in a sextile off and on since the beginning of the 20th century. So when these three major outer planets start to form different aspects, it's very rare, and that produces special outcomes in the world. Essentially, that's what's happening. Now, I want to acknowledge that the orbs on this alignment are not exact, but this is as close as we are going to get to an alignment, because Uranus is going to turn direct, Pluto and Neptune are already direct, and so the dynamic between them will change. But it's not really about these outer planets. What's special right now is that Mars is entering those last degrees of Virgo, which will oppose Neptune. And so a very special astrological formation develops that is called a kite. And so this is going to be a special event that's going to build up from now until the full moon on the 30th of August. And so this event is, I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I do feel that there's a lot of force and energy behind it. I think that it's different for world events, mundane astrology, than personal astrology. In world events, I wouldn't be surprised if so one of the things I said in the intro is that the astrology right now is affecting good people, but it's also affecting bad people and giving them energy. And so my concern is that some tyrant in the world decides to do something stupid, and I'm not talking about Russia specifically, this can happen anywhere, and abuse power in some way. And with Mars, it's fast action, a sudden event that happens, somebody makes a quick decision, and it sort of becomes something intense. However, let's talk about what this means for your personal life. Look at the first phase of August, the Leo season phase. What happened? What happened in your relationships? What happened in hierarchies between yourself and others? Were you promoted? Were you demoted? Was there workplace politics going on? Figure out what those things were. That should have in some way become contested around this new moon, around yesterday or today, around this time. And then moving forward, there's going to be addressing of those issues, including your relationships. This is why so many people are breaking up. Not to judge anyone, I don't know a lot of celebrity gossip, but from the sounds of it, a lot of the people who are breaking up had fundamental issues already. They're not breakups like, oh wow, they were so perfect for each other. A lot of the people I've heard who have broken up have had major public outcry about their relationships, with people saying, oh no, these people are really bad together, or this person is very vulnerable with this person. So if that's applying to your personal situation, your romantic life, and you're worried you're going to break up with your husband, I'm not necessarily saying that's going to be the case. I actually think that it's possible that those of you who are in bad situations may see that break happen now. But whatever situation you're involved in is, when we move into this second phase with the kite, with this fast-moving, powerful energy, I think many of you are going to emancipate yourselves. I think many of you are going to push on the system, but go slowly, because the kite happens right now until the full moon. The full moon is connected with Uranus as well. We'll talk about this all when we get there. Uranus retrograde begins on the 29th. And then suddenly things start to change. All these outer planets that dictate society are now moving in retrograde fashion together, and things are going to begin to shift and change. And so allow for the slow process. There's going to be, between now, the new moon, and the kite, there's going to be a buildup of something in your life. And then around the second full moon, or right before, there's going to be a certain type of event or a series of events in which you are addressing those issues. But that addressing of issues is going to really continue until about September 15th, when Mercury turns direct. So there's going to be a lot of communication. There's going to be a lot of negotiation going on. So it's an energy for a lot of people to be productive. You know what's going on in your life. And there's a practical, because it's all in earth signs, it's practical events, like physical events happening that are allowing for a certain a transformation. It's a time when a lot of people will be assertive. And so I think it's a really good time. I think it's a revolutionary time. And so I think you should be excited. So 40 minutes, guys. How did you like this? It was intense. But if you have feedback, or if you know some information about any of these events, particularly the Maui fires, then please tell me about them, because I am going to do the all sign. We have time to do it. It'll be a quick one though today. But yeah, so tell me about it. I posted about it on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you have some information to the question I posted on Facebook, then tell me about it, please. And then DM me with the information. I'm looking for like local specific information. So if you saw something on a national news, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like local specific information about what's going on there with regard to that. But so in short, this, I know it's complicated energy, but it's a good energy for emancipation. It's not an energy to knock down walls. It's not an energy to, there's enough assertive energy around us that it's really smart if we sit back and if we pay attention to what they're doing. And then we will have time between now and September 15th to kind of deal with what they are doing. So I don't know who said that last comment, but you made me laugh. Okay, so why don't we do an all sign? I just realized that my chart is not set to the appropriate chart. So let me just edit the chart just to make sure that I had it on the Placidus wheel, which was so annoying, but let's do it now. Okay, now it's right. So I'm just gonna like go through every single sign very quickly, pick 4 cards maybe, give you guys a message and give you a context in terms of what's changing right now. And members, if you want this another version of what I just said, I was more composed because this interruption kind of threw me off there at the beginning a little bit, but anyway, so if you're a member and you want to watch it, it'll be available in the description down below. Okay, and if you guys want a more detailed sign by sign interpretation, go look for Venus retrograde, and that will be ready. Okay, so let's take a look at the first sign. Okay, so the first energy is that of Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hey Capricorn, let's take a look at your energy for the upcoming phase. So I'm not looking at just the new moon right now. I'm more interested at this point in terms of what's going on for us in the pattern. So Aquarius and Pisces are affected, the full moon here, and then there's the square on Pluto. So we're kind of looking at the chart over here and over here. So for you, Capricorn, right away, what it looks like to me, that there's you more than anybody else with this new moon could experience a pretty big change. And so like an abrupt change, an unexpected change, a quick decision, something like this happen. So if you're watching this around the new moon, know that if somebody's asking you for your opinion, or if you have to make a decision, there could be a quick decision coming your way about things changing or transforming. The full moons, however, have a lot to do with your personal transformation, and I think reprioritization of your immediate environment, which means that you're rethinking through these full moons how you are being treated by others, how far your money goes, and how that applies to you. So it's about personal boundaries. Specifically, like if someone around you is taking your money and not giving you respect, if they're shortchanging you in some way or undermining things for you, then it's something that you have to work out. And so with this new moon, you could see a desire to break away or change situations. And I think it extends to changing your community, changing the people around you at this time. Let's see the next energy. We have the moon. And then we have the Ace of Wands. And then we have the Queen of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. And then we have the Four of Wands. Look, it's all home. It's all family. It's choosing something. You feel uncomfortable with something in your life. And so I think you're initiating a change towards something better that suits for you. That's better for you, that suits you better. So I think this new moon in the 8th house for you is some emancipation point to get you in a better situation. The foundation of this is a desire to change financially or change your immediate environment. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next sign. We have Aquarius. Hey, Aquarius. So that full moon was huge for you. You guys went through a massive change. Aquarius, I've been talking to you guys about your low energy for about a year now. And so the important thing to recognize about what's happening now is that these are events and things in terms of things greatly improving for you. One of the things that is improving is with this new moon, you could have an abrupt movement for better circumstances between yourself and partners and people that you love. So there's a growth event, a potential for expansion in your 7th house, in your partnership 7th house. And so everything leading up until this point was a low point for you energetically. It wasn't necessarily sad or bad, but things were just moving slowly. And now through your connection with others, this new moon, there is changes and new beginnings. I think with the full moon, the second one that we're going to have, there's going to be some kind of financial restructuring, and we'll talk about it when we get there, but this is just a way to warn you or give you a heads up. There's a financial restructuring for the better. Something is improving for you financially. A situation that wasn't in your favor is going to turn better now. Okay, so let's take a look at your cards. We have the 6 of Wands, and then we have the 6 of Pentacles, and then we have the Death card, and then we have the Fool. Okay, so we have Uranus, a new beginning, and then death, change, and transformation. And then we have personal. This is really good. So I think there's a lot of cutting of the cords for Aquarius right now, But I think for you, the emphasis is in the 7th house, which means a connection with another person. And it can be a variety of different relationships, but I see that emerging for you at this time. I think that you are in a prime situation to move forward. And I think the way that things are organized for you now are organized in such a way so that you can really deal with them, and you're starting off on the right foot here. So your timing is perfect right now to move forward, to change things, and to make adjustments. And there's definitely Fool, right? So there's some kind of freedom that's on the horizon for you. This is Uranus, by the way, which is your modern ruler, your modern ruling planet. And so there is a lot of change that's coming up. I don't think you should be manifesting. I think you should be living your best life and really taking the opportunity to make connections with others and seeing how that unfolds around you. Very, very nice energy. Okay. So then we have Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at what's going on. Okay, so the new moon for you, Aries, is happening in your 5th house. This is another relationship house. So this is a marker of new relationships, new connections. I like this for you now. The full moons are happening in August in your 11th and 12th house, which has a lot to do with transition between different friend groups. This does not mean that you're going to end friendships with a certain friend group and go in your own way. But I think that the priority of where you have fun and who you connect with is changing. And so I think that this new moon is going to pave the way to really go after the things that you like and the people that you like and the people you like to be around. So we have the 3 of Cups. And then we have the 10 of Cups. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles. And then we have the Hanged Man. Okay. So for you, Aries, there is a sign that there's a going back to people here, the 3 of Cups. So you may be experiencing like second thoughts about where you want to be and who you want to be around. So there's a potential for reconnection with someone who you already know and have an established relationship with. The Hanged Man is suggesting that you will take some time to get to where you are going with things. And I think that's your decision. I think you're going to hang back a little bit and figure some financial things out. Remember, the kite is focused on your 6th house with Mars. And so that represents your everyday tasks. You might just be busy. But on an emotional level, it really feels like you're reaching out where you have fun. People with whom you've connected with before, that's reaching a high point. And so the emancipation is from your own isolation station, maybe. It's an emancipation towards embracing social relationships and welcoming them in. Although throughout August, you might see that as a slow event with that Hanged Man as your last card, suggesting that you might say, I'm too busy now, but that will lay the foundation for events in later autumn. So more friends for Aries. I like that. Okay, so let's see the next sign. We have Pisces. Hey, Pisces. Let's take a look at your event. Okay, so Pisces, for you, this is happening over your ascendant, the 2 full moons and the new moon, the 2 new moons, because there's going to be a new moon in Virgo too, but let's not talk about that. That's in September. But this new moon is in your 6th house, and the full moons have a lot to do with your 1st house. What I would call your chart right now is cleaning house. So if I was a Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, it really looks like you're cleaning house and making way for new relationships to come up for you in September. So or the relationships that you have to become more prominent in your life. It really seems as though with this new moon, there's a desire or a need to address certain things, to really put some effort to address certain things, to get some things, practical things done. And so the emphasis with this new moon is get it done. The full moons happened in your 12th house, and now the next one is in your 1st house. And so it really feels like a clearing out, things that other people may not see, clearing out energetically. And then the next full moon in your 1st house is going to be conjunct Saturn. And I think that anything that's not helpful to you right now is going to go in a big event. So make sure that you're not holding on to unnecessary things too much, because you're going to have a big clearing event of people, things, situations that you have to do. So nothing that's contributing. If something is not contributing to your well-being right now, I think it's going to go by the end of August. So we have the Death card. You guys know I just shuffle to the side like this. I'm not theatrical very much about it. And then we have the Prince of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Remember, I switched how I read this, so this could be a man or a woman. Somebody bringing harsh words and a quick ending, to be honest. And then we have Two of Wands. So a heated exchange with someone, harsh words or criticism. And then we have Wheel of Fortune. So it's really freeing you up to go in wonderful directions. Be patient with this new moon and the end of August. And then in September, you're going to have all your new opportunities come up. So if the end of August seems a little bit low energy, or if it feels like things are not working out, I think September is going to be, August is preparing you for September. And so in September, those new things will really emerge and bring you a lot of luck. This is the Jupiter card. And Jupiter, by the way, is turning retrograde on September 6th, I believe. And that's important for us to know, because for you, that is going to apply to in your immediate environment, in your community. Suddenly missed opportunities are going to come up. So if you feel like you didn't connect with a friend in the past, Pisces, with Jupiter retrograde, you might connect with them. Also siblings, if you and siblings have been on the out and out, then maybe that's an improvement. So don't judge your life by August, astrology, Pisces. It's a clearing out event, cleaning house, and be okay with that and be excited for what it is preparing you for moving forward. Okay, so here is the next message. We have Taurus. Hey Taurus, let's take a look at your chart. Okay, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Let's take a look at what's going on for you. So Uranus is in your 1st house. That's a big deal. So this means that you know how people say, oh, this is the sign that's most impacted by the astrology. And oftentimes they miss these nuanced signs that are deeply affected by August astrology. And because all 3 lunations are so connected to Uranus that's in your sign, you are greatly affected by August astrology, sun, moon, and rising. Anybody who has lots of Taurus in their chart, it's going to be a big deal. But the new moon for you is happening in the 4th house of home, family. I wonder what kind of home opportunities are coming up for you now. And then the full moons are happening at the 10th and the 11th house. This could signify that people who you know, with whom you have established relationships with, are getting you to places of opportunity in terms of buying a house, renting a house, changing your environment, renos, all of these kinds of things. But also your family really steps up at this time. So no matter what the full moons in Aquarius or Pisces brought to you, the new moon that's happening in your 4th house is a real signal that family's going to be on your side, that is going to bring in positivity. And let's acknowledge this, because Lilith, right? up until this point, your relationship with your family at the beginning of the month may have become strained. So if you felt like you're isolated from your family, or they don't love you very much, or they're not giving you the love that you're used to getting from them, the conjunction between the Sun and Lilith most likely will clarify any misunderstandings. Okay, so now let's take a look at the tarot cards. And we have the Fool, which is Uranus in the first house. This is a huge signal that there's a change ahead for you. Either you're moving more towards home-based activities, or good home-based or house-based environmental factors are contributing to your success in the outside world. So you have like everything organized at home well, so everything at work is going well as well. Okay, so we have Fool, new changes and opportunities. And then we have Princess of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, some Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn energy. And then we have Seven of Swords, Moon in Aquarius, so that's where the full moon was last time. The precedent-setting full moon. And then we have the Nine of Wands. It looks as though things are changing, but the Nine of Wands is saying, again, there's an energy that's emerging for all of the signs that's suggesting that many people will choose to fall back. So when I give you guys astrological advice, a lot of times it's intuitive too, right? If you're tuned in to your intuition and you're feeling the vibes, if you're feeling the universe, if you're really good at responding to how people are acting as a collective, you will naturally want to pull back right now, because you'll see that people are sort of on one, right? They're like on something, and they're all acting a little bit strange. So it's natural for all of us to respond. All this astrology is that vocalizing what's actually happening. And whether you know your astrology or not, it's still happening around you. So if you're tuned in, if you're aligned, if you're grounded, you're going to do those things anyway. So I think many Tauruses, whether they know the astrology or not, they are going to pull back and hang back a little bit. Seven of Swords is suggesting that there's some shady behavior going on. Princess of Swords, to me, always signifies immaturity, immature behavior. And so the Taurus energy feels, how do you say, the Taurus energy is very stable and still, and watches how people act. And when there's composure, when people are acting in strange ways, you see that energy, you see the deception. And so if you're still enough, you see the world. In many stories in literature, there's like the example of trees, you know, the trees being still. Like, I think of Lord of the Rings, but there's way more. There's also Never Ending Story, and there's, I think, it's not a tree, but it's like some monster that Noira, that's the name, and it's a turtle, and it sees the world aging like over its long time period, over its long lifespan. And so when you have that stillness, that Taurus, it's a very Taurus-like energy, that stillness, you see people give themselves away in their chaoticness. And so I think that most Tauruses will want to pull back a little bit throughout the end of August, but there is this new beginning as well. Maybe the new beginning is causing some people around you to feel nervous and react a little bit to it. And so you're watching all of this very patiently. So I think it is going to be a time in which you're paying attention to your environment while still new things are happening. Maybe a sibling, because it's the house of family. Maybe your mother, maybe your wife, Taurus, is acting a certain way, initiating things, and you're like trying to figure out what that means for your outside world. Maybe. Okay, so next sign we have Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so let's see Libra's energy for the upcoming energy. So we have the new moon on the 11th house, and so in the 11th house, we have a friendship energy. I think Libra's message had a lot to do, up to this point, Libra's energy had a lot to do with just kind of renegotiating social relationships and coming back into your Libra-ness more and more. So I think this new moon is going to be very helpful for this. I want to see the cards before I go on. Princess of Swords, Queen of Cups. Yeah, there's lots of social environment influence here. And then we have the High Priestess. I love this card for the house. I love this deck. This is the Cosmic Tarot. And this is the deck that I read for members as well. So we have Three of Wands. Okay, there's definitely gossip going on that's in your favor. You're getting tuned in by other people who are telling you exactly what's going on. And so it's elevating your awareness through social connections. You're getting the tea. And especially today, the sun with Lilith is going to clarify things for you. Now, this is interacting with the full moons that are in your 5th and your 6th house. I think it's clarifying what you need to do with what you've been given. You're finding out today or thereabout through gossip, positive gossip, communication with others, what's going on in your environment. And then by the second full moon, I think you're going to be changing some things about how you lead your life. You're going to be changing some things with your approach to life or how you lead your life in light of the information that you've received now. So you're getting tuned in, or you're getting somebody's helping you understand some things that were obscure, Libra. And I think it's helping you make plans for your life. And I think it's helping you to realize what needs to change. That full moon in Aquarius in the 5th house, to me, signified a realization that some of the things that you were doing, Libra, were not producing healthful fulfillment and joy. So maybe you felt as though you were not getting that fulfillment. You were not getting that joy. And so yeah, it was not, you were not getting that fulfillment. You were not getting that joy. And so with this new moon, I think your friends or people around you are helping you realize why. And then by the second full moon, you're going to figure out what to do about it. The Three of Wands is your outcome, and you realizing how to respond and react. Okay? So good for you. It's a whole process. You don't have to do it in a day. But for you, this energy is nice. It's compared to other signs, I don't think this series is as intense for you as, like, let's say Taurus or Leo, definitely. So even though there's a lot going on right now, it's not as central or as disruptive as it is for other signs. So word to the wise. Then we have Cancer. Hey Cancer, let's take a look at your chart and let's see what's going on with your astrology today. So the new moon, second house, so that's money. And so money opportunities. Listen, up until this point, it's very important for Cancers to be careful with how they spend their money. There's been a lot of temptation around, and you still get a couple months of, temptation. So you should be somewhat careful with where you spend, especially large sums of money, Cancer. But this new moon for you clarifies something. So for example, let's say you want some kind of car. You really, really want this type of car, and you think it's awesome. Sun conjunct Lilith, you realize that this car can actually be quite expensive to maintain. Let's say it's a Mercedes. Mercedes are very expensive to fix. So it sounds like a good deal to buy it, or a BMW. But then you're stuck with maintenance costs, which are very, very high. And depending on where you live, in Europe it's different, of course, but here in North America. So you love this Mercedes, and then you realize how much it's going to cost you to fix every single little part. Sun conjunct Lilith, you're like, that's okay, I'll get myself a Toyota. I'm going to get myself something different. So a piece of information is coming for you with this new moon that's clarifying something that you're missing in a situation where you might get yourself in a financial trap. So there's little emancipation here. This is also about your relationships with others and money, because the previous full moon was in your 8th house. And so that previous full moon probably detached you in some way from your relationship with others and how much you allowed them to have influence over your money and equity. And so this new moon is very like self-serving in a positive way, like I'm going to take care of myself financially. And the second full moon that is at the end of the month, it's going to be unpacking for you blockages about where to go in the world at large. So in terms of forward thinking, where you want to see yourself go in the future, intellectually or as in travel, I think the second full moon is going to allow you to see new vistas, new opportunities. So it's going to be good. So detachment, reinforcement of your values, your personal wealth, and then opening up of doors in new directions. It's a nice August for you, Cancer. Let's take a look at your cards. So we have 8 of Pentacles. You've been working really hard. This is also Sun in Virgo, where we're entering the season we're entering. Then we have the 7 of Wands. I sense for some of you struggle with others alongside the Aquarian new moon. I don't want to get too intense about that, but it feels that way. Then we have the Prince of Cups, and then we have the Empress. Somebody's giving you an opportunity. Somebody likes you. There's a sense of struggle between yourself and others, but this is really nice. This is again, this could be a man or a woman, because let's drop genders, because it just messes up readings. But they like you. Whoever it is, they like you. And they think that you're special. They think you're an empress. They think you're worth the investment. So I think you've been feeling a little bit, stressed out with all this back and forth with others. But I think somebody's on your side, and it's going to show up in the next couple weeks, who they are. It could be a work opportunity. It could be at school, some opportunity, but it could be a love opportunity. Hey girl, hey. But I really get the sense someone likes you. Somebody is giving you a way through. I love when this comes up like this, because this is my saying. You guys probably have, sorry if I'm repeating myself. I try to bring up different things, but this is what's coming up. And so the idea that, like, if someone doesn't like you, they will find all the reasons in the world to not like you. So you can, save a baby from a fire and they'll be like, well, why didn't they save the bassinet? Like, they'll just always find a reason to put down your effort. If they like you, even if you make mistakes or if you mess up somehow, they're still going to support you. And I get it's that second kind of affinity. So Cancer, you have a friend on your side, and they're rooting for you. So go Cancer, go. You're doing well. Okay, so the next sign we have is Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at your astrology for the new moon. So with this new moon, we have that happening in your 9th house. I love the 9th house. I'm not shy to say it. It's just such a beautiful placement. Sagittarius, I don't like Lilith in the 9th house. I'll say this also, especially in something like Leo. To me, this really feels like you've been dealing with a lot of backlash, a lot of ill-intended reactions to things that have been like cutting. Sagittarian is the creative thinker, is the far-reaching opportunist, optimist. Sorry, I was kidding. I wasn't intending that. The optimists. You guys are really open-hearted, really kind, and really expansive. And so Lilith in that, to me, it just feels like a hater in your 9th house, or you do something beautiful and they're just spiteful towards you for it. And so you've been under the pressure of that for a few months since March. And now that the sun is joining Lilith, a lot of that is being clarified as to the hateful energy that's been directed towards you. And so today, the new moon is a moment of emancipation for you, Sag. And no one deserves to be treated that way. So, you know, just I'm happy for all of you who are getting rid of that energy. And so I think that like the doors are literally opening to the way that you normally lead your life that has been experiencing some stink face. Someone's making stink face at you over everything you do. These full moons were happening at your IC. I have a feeling that a lot of this was deeply personal, connected with your early childhood, connected with your early development. And so it would have been highly personal. It would have been deeply hurtful at times. And the last full moon and that one coming up could be a lot to do with letting go of not only people from the past, but people who remind you of the past right now. People who have been particularly mean or spiteful, or themes coming up in which you have been hurt before and that you carry through life. So now you look at it again like you're just a mean person. You're just really a spiteful, mean Lilith. The L, remember you guys, someone reminded me, I totally forgot, but in the other reading I called it an L. It's like an L situation. But Lilith with the sun is a good thing, so it's paving the way for improvement now. And where is Mars? Yeah, it's in your 10th house, so push forward, Sagittarius, in your career, in your public life. Those obstacles are breaking down. The haters are going to fall, okay? And then we have the Two of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. Still, you have a firm foundation. Maybe so. I feel like things have gotten into your head. Cunning whisperings wishing to hurt you. It's from the Desiderata, which is a poem. It's a kind of a good poem, but there's this line and it says, don't listen to the cunning whisperings wishing to hurt you. That's Lilith in the 9th house. And so the Two of Swords to me feels as though it's like the gaslighting in your head. Someone's trying to break you down, but they're not going to break down your momentum. You're going to get ahead. The Strength card. And then we have the Prince. Don't fight back. Look at this Princess. He's just looking for a fight. And don't be this Prince, Sag. So this could be like, as you realize that someone's treated you not well, don't fight back with words. Don't be mouthy, because you'll regret it. It's only going to hurt you. You're in the clear. You've gotten through bad situations. So just be very careful. There's also another layer to this of attraction. So somebody is very attracted to another person, which could be you. And some other person is very attracted to your personal strength. You may not be feeling it, though. You might be feeling very like not here, not there. However, there's someone who's paying attention to you and they like it. So you go, girl. But really take care of yourself emotionally, because the full moons down here might have been kind of intense. And so especially the next one, the one on August 30th, is alongside Saturn down here. So it's going to be deeply evocative of whatever crap you've internalized as a child. So if any of that is still coming up or is around, then take care of yourself and be nice to yourself. Okay, Sagittarius? Okay, so I'll be back with more to talk about this more. And then we have Virgos. Hey, Virgos. Hey, Virgins. How's it going? Let's take a look at your astrology chart. Okay, so for you, this full moon is in the 12th house. Yeah. Lilith, people wishing and conspiring behind your back, maybe a little bit. But with the sun conjunct Lilith today, I think that there's an emancipation of that. Venus is emerging from the underworld, so to speak, today. So that's exciting as well. Let's take a look at the cards, and then I'll link it to the astrology. So we have the 10 of Cups. That's good. And then we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. And then we have the Justice card, Libra. It doesn't have to be Libra, it's just an association, but it's coming up strong. And then we have the Princess of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. It looks to me, so Libra kept on coming up into my mind, and we get a Libra new moon in 2 months. So whatever is happening right now may lead to financial opportunities in 2 months. So be aware of this. To me, this really looks like you are beside someone you're under someone's wing. You're under somebody's protection. The problem with this is that how do you say this? King of Swords, it's kind of like it reminds me of the Osho Zen Tarot, where you have to go along with their agenda. It's like, yeah, they're protective of you, but you have to do it their way because they're stuck in their ways, whatever. But yet you're protected and happy and joy. And then we have, I think that there's a situation in which you're resolving truth with someone else. I think that there's emotions that are coming up to the surface, and these are new emotions that are being aired. Now, the emotions, the people may have, whoever is holding them may have had them for a while, but they're coming to the surface for the first time now, and there's going to be clarification. How does that pertain to the 12th house? Well, it looks as though someone may have been passive aggressive around you, and now the truth is coming out about their feelings, and you can address any misconceptions or misunderstandings. Remember, Virgos, you're at the beginning of a transit of Saturn in your 7th house in Pisces. This is going to continue until 2025. This is really intense on your partnerships and relationships. And so it's like a therapy session. I think that's the best way to call it. It's a massive couples counseling therapy session for you and everybody in your life. So congratulations. So with this new moon, and especially what's happening the day after today, the conjunction between the Sun and Lilith, which is clarifying whatever their hidden feelings towards you, whatever BS they have been doing towards you, it's going to get clarified. And I think it's coming out in positive emotions. So there's like to me, she looks like she's looking at someone with fresh eyes, which means that she may have held a certain belief or held animosity towards someone, and now she's looking at them with fresh eyes and being like understanding or appreciating, or it's evoking like a higher, more positive emotion. So in some way you are protected by this person. This person is watching out for you, but it's also leading to some type of confrontation in the next 2 weeks, in which I think that some truth is going to get clarified, some truth that has behind the scenes been holding you back through misconceptions. And I think it's a pattern to do with the Saturn full moon on August 30th, and Saturn in your 7th house. That's sort of the therapy session in your relationships. I don't know if I explained that well, but I think that if you're a Virgo and things have been messing up and you have been wondering, like, 12th house is like, why is all the hate here? Lilith in the 12th house is why is all the hate? Harboring ill feelings towards you. And the problem with the 12th house is that it's not on the surface. So it's not easy to talk about. It's not easy to figure out what is even being said. However, the conjunction is going to clarify this, and it's connected with Saturn in some way, clearing out all that toxicity. So it's good. And I think that you're going to have a new fan, like win over someone. And I think justice is like just a good, honest conversation. This person might get involved and clarify, but some people are on your side. This King of Swords is already on your side, but this Princess of Cups, it's more of like a, or maybe she's not the person who's driving the negativity. Maybe this is someone who's peripheral, like the friend of the person who's driving the negativity. And then she's heard your side of the story, and then you gain a friend, or maybe not a friend, but at least someone who sees you in a positive light. So clarification of those issues. Okay, we only have 3 more. That's okay. We're going really fast today. So we have Leo, We can do slow ones, but fast ones are good too sometimes. A little topper. There's a lot more on the way. So, okay. So Leo, this is a huge event. I wonder, you guys should tell me in the comments, how has Leo season been for you? If you have rising, midheaven, you know, sun, moon, you know, anything significant in Leo. I bet the first 2 weeks have been a little bonkers. And so the next 2 weeks are going to be better. It probably hit many of you like a very intense experience. If you didn't watch your ego and you were just, even if you were like playing and just having fun, I could see people taking it the wrong way and then you getting hit with a lot of negativity. So if you have experienced a lot of negativity, it was the astrology. I do see Leos more, how do you say this? Unknowingly instigating conflict, which means you're happy, you're joking, you're having fun, and then suddenly the pushback is super negative and aggressive. So you're out of the clear for that. And this is connected to when Sirius rises, which is most of North America already. Venus rising today, tomorrow, visible by the 22nd of August. And all these events, and of course the sun moving into Virgo. So this new moon, the conjunction with Lilith today, all of these things are breaking us out of those former crazy energies. And so the second part of the month with Uranus and the kite, it still affects you, Leo, but this was the most difficult 2 weeks of 2023 for you. So congratulations, you got through it okay. And so for you, the first full moon had a lot to do with relationships. And I think by the second full moon, you're going to choose to let some things go, right? By the second full moon, you're going to choose to change some things based on the response you're getting, including changing like, oh, this person doesn't actually treat me very well, or this person thought that I was actually doing something mean when I was just joking. Maybe you're still friends with them, but maybe the way that you think about them changes, okay? But it's very, very important. Look at the North Node right at the top of your chart. This is a nice time for Leos to make changes in their life over the next 2 weeks. Watch the beginning astrology. Then we have the Six of Pentacles, generosity, Leo, moon in Taurus though. We have Three of Wands. I think this is one of my favorite decks, you guys, just reflecting on it. I never get bored of it. Then we have the Hierophant, which is Taurus, lived experience. And then we have the Six of Cups, figuring out what's important. Look at you celebrating life. I do think that you went through a mini crisis over the last 2 weeks, most likely, and now you're clearing out of it in a very beautiful way. And so I hope that whoever is around you, you are getting that Six of Cups energy, that loving energy of support and kindness. It could even potentially feels like that you were generous in a situation in the last 2 weeks and someone accused you of being manipulative or something negative. And now the truth comes out. And so now you're just like, you're left to be you again. Lilith is still in your first house until October, I believe. That's when she enters Virgo. So you still have some latent energy of being misunderstood or accused of something that you're not doing. Be careful with the showmanship, honestly. I love Leo energy, and I did a short form video about you guys on another platform in terms of this new moon, of what to watch out for. Because there are energies that we want to, there's like a shadow side to Leo. But you guys aren't that way, that shadow side. It's just, it's important to be aware of the shadow side so you don't do it. And so you don't rub people the wrong way. So with this, it's really clarifying. You're feeling welcomed. There's a lived experience here with the Hierophant and Taurus. Uranus is affecting all these moons in August a lot. And so for you, this is about public status and who you are in the world. Basically, you possibly have gotten some bad reputational things going on, but I think they're misunderstandings, and I think they're being clarified now. And I think that people who love you will love you no matter what, Leo. Meow meow, happy birthday. Okay. Okay, so let's see the next energy. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hey Gemini, let's take a look at your chart. Okay, so Geminis. So for you, this is in your 3rd house. That's the house that you typically rule in a natural chart. So this is a natural reading for you in Leo. And the full moons are happening at the top. So you're going through a massive pattern of decoupling in the outer world. And that's cyclical. That's annual. It happens every year. The July and August every year you tend to pull back. This month, because there's so much happening in Leo, I think it's extra intense. So if you feel as though you need to pull back from the outside world, if you feel constrained because Saturn's in your 10th house, then just be tolerant of it. Go with the flow. Do what feels natural. Spend time in your community. Again, your reputation. If your neighbor thinks something of you, of a negative light, which because of the Lilith, then the sun is clarifying it today and bringing light to the situation. Then we have the Hanged Man. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles. And then we have the 4 of Swords. And then we have the 8 of Wands. Okay, so for you, Gemini, I think it's a good idea to stay with your slower energy right now. If you're feeling as though you don't want to be interacting with everybody else that's up here, take your time to organize yourself and your life, even if it's like mentally organize your head and rest. And then you're going to really come out in a very beautiful energy. So this is all about self-nurture. This is about recognizing that some things you need to take care of at this time for yourself. And then it's like getting a good night's rest. This guy looks like he just had the best night's rest and like, here we go, right? So make sure that you're taking care of yourself and resting. This is 4 of Swords, Hanged Man, and 2 of Pentacles. Make sure that you do the back end work that you need to, and then you're going to show up so very well, like very wonderful energy. Okay? Okay. So Gemini, it's going to be a nice energy. I think that at the end of August, it is time for change in your outside world, career, public stuff, how you organize things, not the end of your job or anything, but it's a time to initiate change and restructure. So if something's not feeling well for you right now, then nurture yourself and take care of it. And I think by the end of the month, you will be making some changes. And then last but not least is Scorpio. Okay, so hey Scorpio, let's take a look at your energy. Oops, not Sagittarius. So Scorpio, for you, this is a new moon in the 1st house. Big for breaking down barriers such as obstacles through other people's ill intentions. And this is more after the new moon, the 17th, when the sun and Lilith really join together. But yeah, we are really on a real clarification of your progress forward, moving ahead. This time is also about clarifying wrongs, and in relation to how people feel about you, Venus retrograde is going to really help you to clarify dynamics in certain issues, okay? So your full moons were happening in August in the 4th, and the 5th house. And so I think that your emphasis here is very much on your outside world, and here you're changing what's important close to home. Some of you may have moved at the beginning of August, and at the end of August, some of you might be changing, like giving up on a, like, let's say that you have a hobby that wastes a lot of time and you suddenly feel the urge to move forward in your career or your goals in a particular way. You might be letting go of some things that you somewhat enjoy doing, but you might just realize that it's not the time and the place to do them. You're fine-tuning what you are doing with your time at this time. Let's take a look at your tarot cards. We have the Last Judgment, which is Pluto. And then we have the Lovers, which is Gemini. And then we have the Fool, which is Uranus. Wow, Pluto. I'm calling you Pluto. And then you have the Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo. Yeah, success in work. Look at this. I'm telling you. Very, very decision about love, decision about what's important, decision about family, a new beginning. It's just your head is right and going in the right direction. I feel like there's a big release of things close to home right now. Especially doing things because you have to do them instead of because you want to do them. And I think by the end of August, you're going to be letting go more of that. And then at the end of the month, you have new beginnings. This could be a work opportunity as well. This could be an opportunity to go somewhere and do something. But it's all very, very nice energy. And because you have Jupiter in your 7th house this year, it's lucky for love, Scorpio. So hey girl, hey, what about that? Anyway, so thanks you guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment to make the energy real. I want to apologize about the beginning. So let me clarify what happened just briefly. Last night or yesterday, somebody was vacuuming outside my door. I don't know if they started vacuuming again for like some normal reason, but unfortunately, the place where I live right now and for last several years, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that are creepy, and there's a lot of people that are problematic in their behavior. And I've been I've told you guys about this, and this is what's been holding me back in part, that there's a lot of people that have problematic behavior here, and it's been very stressful for me. So I'm not sure if that's what was happening, but it doesn't make sense why they would vacuum yesterday and today. And just so you guys know, I keep my identity fairly quiet. I don't like announce what I do and who I am. That's just not my way. But it's just between how I've been treated over the last 3 years of living here in this city, there's a lot of moronic behavior, let's just put it that way. And it's very upsetting to be around, and it comes out of left field, and it's not my energy at all. But things like sabotaging or trying to hurt someone or trying to intimidate someone through actions like this, it's not uncommon here. So I'm not accusing that someone did something, but it seems fairly strange that I went online and suddenly someone chose to start vacuuming outside my door, even though they were doing it yesterday. So it's just weird. So anyway, but it could be nothing. I could be a little bit sensitive from the amount of teasing or harassment I've experienced in the last 3 years. But again, Lilith energy, water under the bridge. And yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope you guys have a nice day. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah? Take care. Bye-bye. And I'm fine. I'm good. Just now you guys know I don't go on camera because if I was in a better place, and Vancouver isn't a better place either. If I was in the appropriate place, then I would, but it's not. I have many reasons for why I don't put my face on camera, but I think that to keep myself private, it's a helpful thing. So anyway, I hope you guys like my short form crazy arty content because I love making it. So please support that if you don't mind. Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye. It's just because I'm awesome and they're jealous. I had the mom that said, oh, they're just jealous of you. That's the joke going around on social media. No, but it's just because I'm awesome. Okay, take care. Bye.